Ms. Noem?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Conger, a question for you. If dollars haven't been appropriated for a BRAC process and there hasn't been excess funds that have been dedicated towards that, what do you plan to use in order to fund the BRAC process? Have funds been diverted from another area of your budget? What are the plans that have gone into making sure that it is actually paid for and accounted for?
Well, two answers to that question. First, we haven't asked for a BRAC round, and so we don't have dollars appropriated for a BRAC round.
Correct.
Would you I would imagine that any time one would request such a thing, that we would have to have dollars associated with the analysis.
And do you agree that in the current environment, more than likely, those funds would have to be diverted from another area of the Department of Defense's current funding levels, considering that we are in a bit of a fiscal situation?
I would imagine that in any case, we're talking about a zero-sum game when it comes to the budget, that there has to be a prioritization for anything.
And there could be the possibility of shortchanging our men and women that defend this country.
I would hope that anybody who puts together the defense budget that comes over here wouldn't dream of shortchanging the men and women that serve the country in any prioritization that they make.
Thank you. Ms. Ferguson, I have a couple questions for you. In a future BRAC process, will the Air Force be focusing on eliminating any particular category of excess base infrastructure?
At this time, we've not done any type of analysis. As Mr. Conger pointed out earlier, as we would get the legislation passed from the Congress along with the criteria of military value, we would look at all installations across the United States Air Force, but we've not done anything. So
the 24% excess is just in general across the Air Force, not specifically identified at this time?
That's correct.
Do you believe that the most or least disruptive way to approach this from a national security level would be, and national readiness, would to first focus on support systems such as military schools, and rather than going after seeking to close bases that house bombers or fighter wings?
I think I'll defer that to Mr. Conger to answer that one from a more strategic perspective.
Okay, thanks. I think that it would be two things. One, we haven't asked for a BRAC round, but let's talk in the abstract for a second. In advance of any BRAC round, we do our best not to prejudge, to imply any sort of a result. So we don't have a list of what's likely to happen if there was a BRAC round. We wait until the actual authorization from Congress, because it'd be inappropriate for us to start that kind of thing ahead of time.
Okay. Well, I do want to thank you for your service, and I do look forward to helping all branches of our military look for efficiencies that we can find, an agreement that we can find, whether or not there is another BRAC round or if one would potentially be requested throughout the future. So thank you.